Welcome back, viewers. This is episode 23, and in the previous episode, I was discussing my neighbors and how it was moving to Godrej Hill Side, living in Vikhroli, and how I started acclimatizing to my surroundings. So, initially, it was quite intimidating for me. I would look around, I would try to figure out where to go, but I wouldn't be quite sure. So, I know that my mom's primary contact in those days was Mrs. Nanu, and she barely had any contact with anyone else. But she did, I guess, at some point speak to Mrs. Sharma. I guess Mrs. Sharma used to go to her hometown, would come back. And yes, so today we will talk about more about living over there from a perspective of Guddan and the Sharmas. So now this hillside was a very vast township. This itself was acres and acres. This Godrej Soaps side was smaller than the Godrej and Boys side. So there was a gate and there were walls surrounding our township, and there were, like, they did put the glass pieces on tops to prevent people from jumping over the walls. And we had nice big grounds, we had big open areas, open spaces, and good fun. And behind, like at the front was the gate, behind our buildings, behind the four buildings, were two hills. So on these hills there were some slums, and that is where the maids used to come from, the maids who worked in our houses, and also the workers. So a lot of the workers who worked in shifts in Godrej lived on those hills in the slums, I guess. So the bus would come. I remember the night shift bus would come to collect them. They would come down the hill and wait somewhere. Then they would get into the bus, and then in the morning also, I guess, a bus would collect them. So it's not as if the township was completely private. It was used as a thoroughfare by all the people who lived on the hill. So the slum dwellers were entering our township very freely. And I do remember that we used to go sometimes just to play on the hill, to climb the hill, and those kids used to throw stones at us from up. So that was quite scary. So at some point, we just stopped going up the hill to play, because it can be quite dangerous if someone's throwing pebbles or even larger stones from a height at you. And I don't understand this tendency to throw stones at people, but I've experienced that later also in life. Once, when I was walking my baby in the stroller, someone from a higher story threw a stone, and this was in within the township. So someone from up from the window threw a stone, and that was very scary. They could do anything, that could do anything to the baby. So then I stopped even taking my baby for walks. So let's get back to discussing our township. So in the boys' side, there were also a lot of bungalows, and they were such quaint little beautiful bungalows. So these people had a very good architect, I guess, for who set up the whole place, I guess. I don't know how many architects they had, but I do know that the school was very beautifully designed, and that was a German architect. And these bungalows were extremely beautiful. Like, I used to just look at them with desire. Like, they were so lovely. Some of them were used as guest houses, and they had these beautiful yards outside, and then there was this beautiful latticed wall within the garden itself, and with these baked clay partitions. They were very beautiful. I just was fascinated by all the beauty around me at Godrej. And one of those bungalows also functioned as a little tuck shop kind of thing. The kids used to go and buy sweets from one Parsi gentleman. He used to open the shop in the evening, I guess, after his work day. And we used to go. Obviously, we never ever had pocket money. We were never given money. And any money that came our way, we used to put it, like, in the little box, you just save money, and in the piggy bank kind of thing. And later also, whatever money we had, we used to always, like, keep it saved. That was the culture that mom brought us up with. But I used to accompany other kids who would go, and they would buy all kinds of candy from this gentleman. There used to be striped candy, hard candy, chewing gums, all kinds of treats, and sometimes our friends would share. Sometimes my friend would give me something, I guess. I don't remember. Maybe at some point even I took some money and bought something. I'm not very sure of that. So it was a very vast complex, and I did find it intimidating. There was a lovely park also. Later there was a tennis court made over there. There was a lovely park for children to play with the slide and jhulas and everything, and an open ground also. Later they built a football field kind of thing over there, and then they made a very nice clubhouse later on, which was a temporary structure actually. So back to when I was very new, I would very timidly walk around, and first of all, these four Godrej soaps buildings looked quite identical to me. So I tried to search on the net for a picture of what of our buildings, and the picture that I have put here on the right, I feel it's my building SPE1, but I'm not like 100% sure it's the same building. But this is the layout, like the ground floor balcony that you can see would be Mr. and Mrs. Bendale's house. Then the one above that would be the house where Charlotte, Sharman, and Cheryl lived. Did I mention them in the last video? I think I messed up the floors a little bit. So above Mr. and Mrs. Bendale's house was Charlotte, Sharman, and Cheryl's house, and they were delightful three sisters. And we used to have fun at their house. Like, they used to host these doll weddings. It was such fun. They used to give us confetti, and the little doll bride and groom would pass by, and then we would throw confetti, and then we would have treats. We would get little slices of cake and treats served on little toy plates. It was delightful to attend their doll weddings. They used to invite all of us. It was such fun. So above that house was the Sharma's house, the balcony that you can see, the ground floor, first floor, and then the second floor balcony where the picture cuts off. That would be Mr. and Mrs. Sharma's house, and above that was our house, the 16 number house. So what happened was somehow Mrs. Sharma and my mom, I guess, got to talking, and I guess dad also knew Mr. Sharma probably. So mom told Guddan, I think, to accompany me, to be with me, to show me around and that kind of stuff. I think she was doing that. So I remember when I was very, very new, Guddan and I were downstairs playing somewhere, and then I looked around and Guddan was not there. And I was just alone, and I panicked. I didn't know where I was. And then I just kind of walked to the nearest building, and the stairs were very slightly different. Like I saw the tile cut off at a different place, just 1 centimeter differently from how I knew it to be. And I was like, wait, did they change the steps while I was out playing? And I didn't know what to do. So I just walked up to 16 number, and I think I knocked at the door or rang the bell, whatever it was. And then someone opened the door, and then it was a lady that I didn't know. And I said, I can't find my house. I want to go to my house. And then she told me that the next building is yours, so go there. So I thanked her, I think, and I left. Then when I went home and I told my mom that I got lost and Guddan had vanished, so mom was not very happy to hear about that. She shouldn't have left me alone when I was so new and I didn't know my way around. I think I was 5 or less, maybe. I was maybe even younger than 5. I guess I was just about 5 when I moved there. So then another incident that happened was when Guddan was visiting my house, and for my birthday I had gotten a doll. Yeah, that would be my 5th birthday. So my parents had gifted me a doll, and that time it was a very new thing to have a doll whose eyes could open and close. Such dolls were just newly launched, like nobody had those dolls before. So it was like a fascinating thing for us to see. And I was very careful with any of my possessions, or with anything in general. I was very careful to, keep things properly and not damage them and all of that. So at that time I didn't know. I guess other children are not like that. They are more curious and they don't really care that much. So I remember Guddan was at my house. She was with my doll, and I think I went into another room for a bit and maybe to drink water or something. And when I came back, Guddan was not there. She had left. So then I thought, why did Guddan just leave without saying anything? And then later, when I picked up my doll, the eye was all damaged. It was twisted and it wouldn't move. One eye of the doll was damaged, and the doll was very, very new, brand new. And in those days, it was not like now how you get these Chinese stuff that spoils within a week or so. We used to keep things for years and years. So then I went and showed my mom. I said, "My something happened to my doll's eye." And then my mom asked, "Where is Guddan?" And I said, "She just left. She didn't say anything." So then again, my mom did not feel very happy about it. And we tried to repair that eye. It never became pristine like before. It never became as flawless as it was before, but we did repair it to some extent. And I had that doll. I kept the doll for about 10 years or so. And later, when that doll went bald, I even I chopped off a lot of black threads and I stuck them all on her head. So, and I had named her Geeta. So that was my doll, Geeta. And so that was one more experience with Guddan. And another experience with Guddan was once she told me we were on our third floor balcony. So as you can see in the picture, there's the ground, first, second, which was Guddan's house, and then the one above that was my balcony. And she told me, "Come, let's stand on the outer ledge of the balcony." You can see there's a ledge, right? So I told her, "Are you sure?" She said, "Yes, I do that on my balcony all the time." So I said, "Okay, I'm a little kid. I'm just doing what I'm probably looking up to all the other kids as mentors, or anyone around me. I would just look up to them to teach me or to, learn from them." So she told me, "Okay, let's stand." And then she taught me to stand on the outer side and just like turn around, face the inside, like to face the balcony and hold on to the grill, the railing. And we just used to do that many times a day for a few days. Then one day someone noticed and told my mother that your kid is standing on the outside of the balcony. And then my mom spoke to me. She said, "Why were you doing that?" And I said, "Guddan taught me to do that." Then mom told me, "Don't do that anymore." And I was like, "Okay." Years later, my little boy also started doing that again without my knowledge. But at that time, we lived on the 9th floor, and he used to do that on all the floors. He used to climb a floor, go on the outer side, stand, jump in, go on the up next level, and he would do that up to the 12th floor. Then a security guard informed us that this is what your son is doing when he comes home from school. At every level he climbs, he hops on the outer side and then he hops in again. And then I had to tell him, "Please don't do that." I guess he stopped doing it to some extent. So that was one more experience with Guddan Sharma. And then the one that I find the funniest and which is the most gross is one day she told me, "Come, I'll show you to search for, I'll show you something." So she took me to one area, one ground, which connected the slum area, the hill that was used as a pathway. The people coming down from the slums would use that ground as a way to get to our road and then go to the main road. So then she said, "Come." She took me to that ground and she started hunting for something down. I didn't know what she was doing. So she found something and she said, "Here, eat this." And like we used to eat berries and all kinds of things, right? Sometimes, so berries, either you would pluck them off the bush or they would fall down, you would pick them up. So she gave me something to eat, and I'm trusting someone because she seems like older, she seems more self-assured. She knows her way around the place. And she asked me to eat the thing and I ate it and it tasted so good and I was like, "Wow, this is so amazing." And then she searched a little more and she found another one and she ate it. And then we did that for a few days. So then it was later when I told another kid, "Come, I'll show you something," a younger kid. And then I searched and I gave her the thing. I said, "Here, try this." And the kid said, this is like spat out chewing gum. Someone has chewed gum and spat it out, and that's what you're picking up and asking me to have." And that's when I got to know that all these days, what Guddan had taught me to eat was chewing gum that somebody had eaten and spat out. Oh my god, I was so horrified when I learned that. I was so horrified. And then after that day, I never ate that thing again. But thank you, Guddan, for the weird as experiences. That was too weird. How did you think that you should go looking on the ground for chewed up chewing gum, pick it up and eat it, and then teach another kid also to do that? Guddan, why? That was so unhygienic. So that was one hilarious, weird memory I have with Guddan. So after that, I kind of reduced my contact with her after these experiences. And like I said earlier, we lived on the third floor. And then, because of our cray cray neighbor, Mrs. Nanu, we went down to the second floor, which was Ajita's house. So that was like diagonally opposite from the Sharma's house. So you can see in the picture a balcony, and then behind the windows that you can see, they are the windows of the stairwell, and then towards the left there are houses. So that would have been my the house that we moved to, the 9 number house, Ajita's house. So then the Sharmas became our next door neighbors, kind of. And there was something very weird about them, like I said last time. And they were quite dark, like the family, there was something really dark about them. So Mrs. Sharma would go gallivanting off to her hometown whenever she felt like. And like I said, Chavi was just left in the hometown to be brought up by grandparents. So I don't know how you can just leave one kid somewhere else and live with your other kids. I think the boy also, Ashwini, probably sometimes this side, sometimes that side. So the older kids were Ashwini, Renu, Chavi, and the younger ones were Tillu, and Guddan was the youngest kid. So years later, when I was living in the 9 number house, I got to know that at that time I did not know what any of these adult things were. But then I got to know that Mr. Sharma was assaulting his daughter Renu, and then later also trying to assault Guddan. So that was something very like horrific. But as a child, obviously, I did not understand, but I felt something. I heard the conversation of adults and I figured something was not quite right. That Mr. Sharma. After that, I would just avoid Mr. Sharma. Like every morning, he would be exercising on the ground, taking his morning walks, striding, like as though he were marching. And he had this big paunch, and I found him very. I did find him repulsive after I heard about the incident, especially though I could not understand it until years later. But yeah, I did avoid Mr. Sharma, and I felt like, how did the mother just leave her kids alone with the man again after she heard about what had happened? So that was not good. So this was my experience with the Sharmas. Good done, and the funny things, and also the dark things with the Sharmas. So this is all for today. Thank you for watching, viewers. Thank you for listening, and please do subscribe to my channel if you're not yet subscribed. And if you enjoyed listening to my video today, please do give a thumbs up. Thank you, and bye for now.